Hello, everybody, and welcome to Write Something Weird. I'm Sophie Stern, and I'm here today with my dear friend Aaron Conaway. Hi, Aaron.
That's me. Hi, how you doing?
Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about what you write, the types of writing you do, and what some of your recent projects are?
Sure. I am an author cartoonist, so I dabble in novels, short stories, comic books. I write my biggest book wise is probably the Timberhaven Chronicles, which is my urban fantasy collection. Horror wise, I do short stories mostly. I haven't done a novel yet with horror, but I've dabbled a lot with short stories and novellas. I do that through the Michael Gideon collection. And then I do New Vision Comics collection, which is my hybrid of comic books and novellas, like flash fiction. And that's the NVCC. So Harrowed Earth is the one that's come out so far. That's horror, action, adventure setup for the most part. And then Yon the Vagabond is my comic book, which is a all ages romp, fantasy, sci-fi
It's
silliness.
fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry for interrupting. It's
No,
fun.
no, you're good. You're good.
I love I love Yawn, and I feel like I've purchased many copies from you because I always I'm like, oh, there's a teenager in my life. Oh, there's like somebody in my life who loves to have fun and loves adventures. So I was telling my son about our interview tonight, and he was like, "Who's Aaron?" And I was like, remember Yawn?"
Yep, that's me. Yon the
So you've
Vagabond.
done a lot of different types of writing. Do you have like a favorite?
Not really. So with it depends on the mood. My
Mhm.
Timberhaven stuff is very layered. It takes a lot of long time.
Yeah.
Like my first novel ever was the first book in the Timberhaven series, and that came out in 2018, which we're closing in on 10 years ago. And I've only had one other novel and a anthology, like a short story collection, come out in the interim. And so that one takes me a long time. That's if we're looking at it from a cooking perspective, that's me being the most like laborious chef,
Yeah,
very artsy. This is, you gotta simmer this perfectly. Like it's a lot of work that goes
it's a
into
lot.
that one. Not to say that all of my stuff doesn't have work in it, but
Right.
there's that kind of stuff, the gourmet stuff, and then the fast food stuff like NVCC, the novella Pulp Fiction stuff by design is much quicker. And so, yeah, the first one came out 3 years ago, and I've done two of those so far, and the third one should drop here pretty quick. So it just depends. It depends on the mood. And if I don't want to mess with books at all, then I go play with Yon.
I love that, except I noticed that you said that 2018 was almost 10 years ago, and I did not invite you here to have my feelings hurt.
All right, fair. We can pretend.
That's
Yeah, it was just a
crazy.
couple years ago. Pandemic threw us all off. It's really
Yeah.
just we're not
So
here.
that's interesting. So you and I met in 2019 at a book event. And so I didn't realize your book had been out for, was it a year at that point or almost two?
No, at that point it hadn't even been a year when my first book was out.
Wow.
Yeah. I dropped I'm very feast or famine kind of creator. 2018 I had my first novella and then two short story collections come out. So those are the three books that I had when I met
Wow.
you at that show. And then I had one drop in 2019 and then I didn't have anything in 2020 I didn't have anything. And then yeah, it's gotten a lot more miss than hit after that. Like yeah, it's definitely feasts or famines have happened more than feasts have.
You mean as far as like artistic inspiration goes? Like, are you the type of artist that needs like that space between projects to kind of reset?
No, more so I got too much on my plate. Like too many things started happening to where
Yeah.
I'd be invited to do an anthology or pulling me away from the initial Timberhaven
Yeah.
Chronicles was supposed to be a 7 book series, still is supposed to be a 7 book series, but that was my foray. I was going to do this and then
Mhm.
opportunities come up and you follow the opportunities, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, a year's gone by and you still haven't put the next book out, and then you have another idea. If anything, I have a very scattered approach to where the muse takes me. I'll just follow
Yeah.
that direction instead of, it's only the last couple of years I've gotten to a place where I finish before I start the next thing. I'll jot down
Oh,
the
interesting.
idea, but I don't start. What
Well, I
about
think you
you?
bring up like a really good point though, right? Because isn't one of the cool things about being a writer, like compared to other types of art, like we can like set it aside if we need to. We can put a project over here and work on this or, complete. Like we have that option.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, not having it be my primary
Yeah.
source of income is helps on that front where I'm not slave to the dollar. I mean, if anything, I have in our varied circles of different creators we know,
Yeah.
I'm not really any longer looking to strike it rich here. I more so with the comic. The comic, I mean, I'm only doing 50 copies per issue. I'm not, and then once they're gone, they're gone.
Hmm.
And I don't where with the novels, when I started this, it was like, okay, I'm going to set up the website and I'm going to have, the ebooks and I'm going to have all the stuff so where this can be make money and I can quit my day job. I don't really think that way anymore.
Well, I hadn't planned on asking you about this, but I want to talk about that. I think that's really interesting because I'm the opposite. So I was a
Right.
full-time author and a full-time writer for a long time and just like transitioned into a day job a couple years ago. And one thing I've discovered is, like you said, like it's kind of freeing to not have to worry too much. And I feel like I can be a little more like playful and artsy and not worry like is this gonna sell, like is this, are all these elements perfect, like you mentioned, like having a website, marketing, like all of those things. I think when your income is separate, when you have the day job, you kind of get to be a little more artistic, um, and for me I feel like I put more emotion into my art when I'm
Oh,
not
interesting.
as
Okay.
pressed. Is that how
Right.
you are or not really?
Not, and incidentally, the way I'm doing things now is that was not a dig at you or anybody else that like wants to quit their day job someday, and that's fine. My thing is,
People
I
are
have a
allowed
lot
to
of,
quit.
well, I have a lot of varied interests, and it's no longer this is the only creative thing I want to do. I have a lot of creative endeavors that I want to do, and so, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's more an issue of I've got so many ideas.
Yeah.
I've got to get to them, and I can't focus so much on okay, this will hit good here, so I should do it next, and I should plan out a whatever a social media blitz to showcase
Yeah.
this. I just that part of it is necessary, and I know people, yourself included, who are very canny at it at doing all of that. I wasn't, and I kind of just stopped wanting to be. I'm just going to
Yeah.
focus just on the piece itself. Now, shows I love. I'll always do shows because that, much like this, I love
Yeah.
talking shop with people. And so I enjoy going to a show person to person. And any fans that I have, for the most part, I've met at shows.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to just do that.
I love shows too, and I think it's for the reasons you mentioned. Writing can be very lonely and very isolating. Like it's just you versus the computer or the typewriter or however it is that you're writing. But when you go to a show, you're like surrounded by all these creative people and creative ideas, and I feel like there's a lot of hope that comes to place and like blossoms. Like
Yeah.
you and I have gone to Tremendicon together a couple times, and I know every time I leave Tremendicon, I'm like, should I write a comic? Should I go into
Yes.
filmmaking? Like, what should
Yes.
my next artistic ability be?
The answer is yes
Yes, all
to
of
all
those
the
things.
things. All the things. Well, I
So,
mean, if for no
okay.
other reason, you can tell by Yawn that I got over the I have to be able to draw like the people that draw for Marvel and DC and all the big
Yeah.
companies do before I do. And I've had plenty of artist friends that just told me to get over that. Just if you want to make a comic, make a comic. And making comics is a blast. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy it. That is my happy place to go creatively when I I want to work, but I mean, it's a lot more in between. I'm lucky if I get a comic out a year, which is kind of what I'm at right now, rate wise or pace wise. But because as the cartoonist and the writer anyway,
Yeah.
it's all on you. And it takes a lot longer to draw it than it does to write it. But I would very much like to read a comic from you.
For me, it's so funny that you say that. When I read Yawn, I was like, wait a second, like, so I feel like for me, like, there's always been like this distance between me and like a comic writer or artist. But then I knew you and then I saw you do it. And so you've definitely inspired me that I'm like, wait a second, if Aaron fucking Conaway can do this, I can do it too.
Damn
And
straight. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, I during the pandemic, speaking, I don't mean to keep coming back to the pandemic. I don't know what's going on with
feeling a
me
little
that keeps
trauma
happening.
tonight, that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah. I guess so. I I was like, okay, I want to learn to draw. And I
Cool.
mean, that was me at 44, like trying to, I'm going to learn to draw now. And that's what I spent the pandemic doing. And then I got to a place where, yeah, all the varied comic book creators that I'm friends with were the ones that were like, just do it. Shut up and do it. You draw, because that was my argument. My argument was like, I can't. This drawing's horrible, but I can draw well enough to convey what I'm trying to convey in the story, so that I can tell the story, and that's all that matters. I'm convinced.
So I actually told Jack that you said that because you've said this before.
Mhm.
And he's like flipping through your comic and was like, I don't know, seems pretty good to me. Like he was so, for what it's worth, you do have a couple of true fans, but I think
Very
that
kind.
you bring up like a really good point of I think a lot of people have this idea of writing is for other people, I'm not good enough. Drawing is for other people, I'm not good enough, whatever the craft is.
Right.
So what changes? What has to change for someone to be like, well, I'm going to try anyway?
Well, I mean, speaking only for myself, it was that. It was the point that I made of it was I could tell the story. And I think as a writer or a cartoonist or what have you, whatever creative endeavor, if whatever the point that is,
Yeah.
as long as you can do it, then go. I mean, it's a lot of work. You still have to hone the craft, but waiting until it's perfect, no, that's pointless. I mean, even just as authors who go through draft after draft after
Yeah.
draft before finally, I mean, eventually you have to let it go into the wild if it's for public consumption. I've got friends that don't. Like they write, but it's not for public consumption. They just have
Mhm.
a story that they want to get out and they get it out, and that's it. That's enough for them. So, and that's kind of, my variation of that is now my stuff I do intend for public consumption, but I don't need it to sell like gangbusters anymore.
Yeah.
If I sell at a show and I make more fans one at a time, I'm cool with that. So yeah, I mean, I
Cool.
think it just boils down to that. Whatever that is for the creator, just aim for that. Try to make it as best you can make it, and then let it go.
And I think that's a really important point that at some point you have to be able to let it go. Um, Obviously I live mostly in the novel and novella space right now, but I have a lot of people come up to me at shows and be like, "Oh, I have this book, but it's not quite ready. I've been working on it for 20 years or 10 years." And I think you're right. Like at some point you have to be like, it's good enough. And that's definitely a temptation as an artist. I think we tend to be our own worst critics. And so, like, it's easy for me to like look at something and being like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this other thing. But at the time I created something, like, that's also a snapshot, right, of my own life and who I was and what my skills were. And
Right.
so, art's kind of beautiful if you look at it like that.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's art anyway. It's always subjective. So
Oh,
much
yeah.
to the point of you saying that Jack likes my art for yawn and I dog on it. Like, and I've had people at shows be rude to me and say, "Why did you should let somebody else draw this?"
Oh, my
And
goodness. No.
that's
What?
the thing. But that's gonna happen. I mean, and you've had it happen, I'm sure, where somebody online says some asshole thing because that's what the internet is for. But also, it's also, I mean, if the people that have a book and it's like 20 years in making it and they've
Yeah.
got it, if the end goal, if the that isn't to make it for public consumption, then cool. Just keep it keep working
Yeah.
on it forever. I mean, if that if that brings you joy, cool. But presumably, since they're talking to you about it, that's not what they want. They want to make it for public consumption.
I think a lot of people feel like creating art has to have an end goal. And so, and I mean, I think that's it's important when you're talking to people about writing or anything to kind of have that idea of do they want to be a bestseller? Do they want to be
Right.
full time? Do they want to make this their job? Or do they just want to express themselves?
Right. And that is, I mean, that's a big thing to know about yourself as a creator because, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for bestseller, like we were saying, quit your day job, this is going to be the thing
Yeah,
you do. I mean, you did it as your full-time gig, and so you know how much extra work goes into
yeah,
things behind the scenes beyond creating to get there. So I mean, there's factors that come into play beyond the writing.
yeah, absolutely. And there's still a part of me that misses that. Like I loved being a full-time writer, but for me, I think the biggest difference is the work never ended. And
Right.
so I had a hard time being like, it's 5 o'clock. I don't have to be working now. So that's something for me mentally that I really appreciate about like my outside job. Whereas when I was a full-time artist, I felt like if I'm not doing anything, I need to be working. And so I know for me it was harder to like find moments of rest. Whereas now I feel like I have a little more of an opportunity to be like, I'm a little tired. I'm not going to create anything today. I'll just think about it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like you said earlier, that now that you aren't that your the next project is what's going to fill the coffers for your house and you
Yeah.
can create from just a place of joy. I mean, how have you what's the end result been that you've noticed of the work? I mean, has it can you feel it in your work, do you think?
So I didn't think I was the one being interviewed tonight, but I'll answer.
It's a conversation. It goes
It's a
back and forth, my friend.
conversation. So I don't necessarily think the quality of my work is better or worse. I'd like to think I only put out things that I think are good quality. But the difference is I have allowed myself to sit with stories for a little bit longer now. So I just published You're My Favorite in January, which is a dark vampire romance and a
Nice.
standalone, which you know is rare for me. I always like
Yeah,
to write a series.
it's true.
And so I resisted the temptation, but I did finish it and was like, should I write another? No, I'm not gonna do that. But I would say the difference for me is I was only working on that story, and so I sat with it a lot more. And I gave myself a lot more space to explore the different scenes and be like, how do I want to present this? How do I want this to look? Whereas I feel like when I was publishing a little faster, and had that pressure of, oh, I'm writing a 10-book series. I have to make sure, I'm hitting all these points.
Right.
I kind of just felt like when I wasn't writing, I was like kind of living with the story in my head.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is that how you are with Yawn, or is there a difference in your headspace based on what you're working on?
Yes. And well, okay, I'll answer in order. No, that's not how I am with Jan. Yes, there is a difference at how I work. So with the Timberhaven stuff being is my Timberhaven stuff is very experimental in the
Okay.
I'm trying for drop, each book that drops is supposed to, if the experiment works, if you read the first book, if you read Waking the Weaver, which is the first book that dropped, the first novel, and then you read Before the Weaver, and if you were to reread Waking the Weaver, it hits different.
Yeah.
It changes the entire tune of the piece for Waking the Weaver. Monsters in the Park is the novel that came out last summer. If you read that, and then you reread Waking the Weaver, and then you reread Before the Weaver, all of it, the song is supposed to change each
Yeah.
outing. Now, it's by no means do you need to do any of that. You can read it all once and be done and still follow the main plot, as it were. But I have a lot of moving pieces. See how bad I can throw my camera off by moving
That's
my hands constantly.
okay.
I have a lot of moving pieces, and so to the kind of reader like myself that likes that, then there's little treats in there. Okay,
Right.
so since that's so convoluted and complex,
Yeah.
when I work on Yawn, no earthly idea. I don't have a clue when I start on the issue where the issue goes.
Interesting. That's
I
cool.
basically built. So are you familiar with oh, what's it? Kishu no. Kisho Tenketsu? The type, okay, so it's like it's based on Chinese, a four-act piece in Chinese poetry where you don't, you've got here in the States we love the three-act
Right.
piece, right?
Our
Where
favorite.
you've got the what is it? The oh, Freytag, is that, man, I'm screwed. Yeah, Freytag's pyramid, where
Okay.
the piece is supposed to build to a crescendo and then come down, right?
Right.
Well, with Kishu Tenketsu, there's no antagonist protagonist situation
Oh,
necessarily.
okay.
Think of Miyazaki movies. If you're
Yeah.
familiar with Miyazaki movies, it you'll get introduced to a world in Spirited Away. If you've seen Spirited Away, it's a temple where spirits go to like a hot springs temple, right?
Yeah.
But that's essentially, while there are things happening for the protagonist, there's not just one main antagonist.
Okay.
Arguably, I mean, you could argue that there's a bigger one, and
Yeah.
that's fair. But the overall arcing plot, it's just a meandering walk in this world. That's
Okay.
kind of where Yan is. Yan is just, I'm built the world, or I'm establishing the world each outing, but I don't have Jan. The little boy that Jan is not working towards some huge end goal at the end of this epic.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's so
Yeah.
freeing that that's why I call it my happy place. I just go, and each issue I'm going to play however I'm going to play that issue.
So, Aaron, I don't know if you know this, but you make being a writer seem really fun.
Oh, well, cool. It is very fun.
It's very fun.
It's a good time.
All right, well, before we say goodbye, will you tell us where to find you or to find your work? Will you be at any shows coming up where people can pick up stories?
I don't really do social media much these days. Pretty much my website, aaronconaway.com, is the best way to find me.
Oh,
And then the only show I'm doing right now is Tremendicon in May.
amazing.
Yeah,
You're
which
gonna
you're
have
not
so
going to
much
be at
fun.
this year, which is a
I
boo,
know.
but it's because you're so popular and you're already otherwise engaged at another show.
Maybe I'll be able to come next year. But yeah, I do have another show booked that same weekend, which is kind of a bummer because I know you're gonna have so much fun.
It's a good time.
It's a
But
good
you'll be
time.
missed.
Oh,
And
and
I'll
I
tell you
will be
all about
missing
it.
you and the boys too.
We'll, we'll tell you all about it. We'll keep you updated.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Well, Erin, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here.
Of
And
course.
I will talk to you next time.
All right. Bye.